disturbing to hear these things or to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it.
Dalton, Illinois, has found itself in the midst of a political disaster under the leadership of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. What was once a town with potential has devolved into a chaotic spectacle, with Henyard at the center of the mess. While her campaign promises focus on winning over voters and addressing community concerns, her leadership has instead become a series of grandiose PR stunts rather than genuine public service. Take, for example, her attempt to win voter support by distributing thousands of Thanksgiving turkeys, a move so blatantly performative that it borders on comedy. After winning her first term by a landslide, Henyard's leadership quickly spiraled into turmoil. Her approval rating has since plummeted to a historic low of just 3%. A recent snowstorm exposed her administration's lack of preparedness, leaving the town buried under feet of snow. Businesses were forced to close, and residents were stranded. Instead of taking responsibility, Henyard took to social media, posting selfies and blaming the weather for her inaction. Despite holding two public positions, mayor of Dalton and a public official in South suburban Cook County, Henyard has allowed the town to deteriorate under her watch. Frustrated residents and struggling businesses have lost trust in her leadership. Her campaign promises now feel hollow, reduced to empty gestures as she scrambles to gain support by making rounds at local churches. Meanwhile, her face is plastered across the city, drawing comparisons to notorious figures like Nicolas Maduro, an unsettling parallel that is becoming all too accurate. The situation is even more dire than it appears. A preliminary analysis, conducted by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, has uncovered alarming financial mismanagement within Henyard's administration, raising even more concerns about the town's future. A recent report revealed that Mayor Tiffany Henyard misused village credit cards for personal purchases at retailers like Wayfair, Amazon, Target, and Walgreens, racking up expenses that have raised serious ethical and transparency concerns. Even more alarming, the village is facing a massive financial shortfall, with over $3.6 million unaccounted for. This financial debacle has drawn the attention of federal investigators, who have now launched a full-scale probe into Henyard's actions. Authorities have requested bank records and other vital financial documents, escalating what began as a local issue into a federal matter with potentially devastating consequences for Henyard's political future. If investigators uncover criminal activity, it could spell the end of her career. Given that federal investigations often take months or even years, Henyard may be on borrowed time if enough evidence emerges to warrant criminal charges. Compounding the crisis is Henyard's leadership style, which has only worsened the town's instability. Known for her explosive temper and contentious interactions with both residents and fellow officials, her inability to manage her emotions has deepened the chaos. The more she attempts to salvage her image with empty gestures and public appearances, the more her incompetence and erratic behavior are exposed. One of the most bizarre incidents occurred during a town council meeting when Henyard inexplicably, dressed as Nino Brown, the infamous drug lord from New Jack City. To make matters even more surreal, she had a DJ play Ransom and B-Day Better Have My Money, turning what should have been a routine governmental session into an absurd spectacle. Her reckless approach to leadership has fueled further instability and confusion in Dalton, leaving residents disillusioned. Local businesses are also suffering, with some alleging that Henyard's administration is actively retaliating against them. Lawrence Gardner, the owner of a trucking company, claims that Henyard shut down his business after he refused to make a substantial campaign contribution to her re-election bid. This kind of behavior has driven many businesses to leave Dalton in search of a more stable environment for growth. Once a thriving community, Dalton is now descending into dysfunction, with more and more residents seeking an escape from the turmoil. Opportunities elsewhere are becoming increasingly attractive to Dalton residents, many of whom have shared personal experiences of harassment and intimidation by Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her supporters. This has left the community wondering, whether the town will ever recover from the damage inflicted under her leadership. The local government is in complete disarray, with key council members like Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carroll frequently absent from meetings. When meetings do occur, they are often moved to larger venues to accommodate the growing number of frustrated residents demanding answers. The anger is palpable, and it's clear why so many have lost faith in Henyard's ability to govern. Her failure to manage the town effectively, paired with an obsession with drama and self-promotion, has pushed both businesses and residents to the brink. At this point, many openly question why Henyard hasn't resigned, with some calling her a disgrace to the community. Her leadership has fostered an environment where even basic government functions are falling apart, and her blatant disregard for the people she was elected to serve is impossible to ignore. Tensions between Henyard and the town's residents have reached a breaking point. Accusations of financial mismanagement and abuse of power have become routine, with trustees and council members frequently challenging her decisions. Council meetings have grown so heated that they often devolve into chaos, highlighting the deep rift between Henyard and the people she was meant to lead. Dalton is now in desperate need of a leader who can restore order and inspire confidence. Yet under Henyard's rule, that kind of leadership seems out of reach. What was once a promising community is now a town in crisis, with businesses and residents struggling to survive under a failing administration. As the scandals, incompetence, and federal investigations continue to mount, Henyard's re-election bid may very well mark the final chapter of her disastrous political career. The town is unable to pay its bills, and residents can no longer endure the chaos of her leadership. Henyard's tenure has alienated the very people she was elected to serve, pushing Dalton to the brink of collapse. Once a thriving community, the town now faces an uncertain future, one that may depend on whether it can recover from the failures of a mayor who promised progress but instead delivered disaster.
We are not able to pay bills. We are not able to have...
Dalton is now defined by constant drama, financial mismanagement, and an increasingly authoritarian atmosphere under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. Lavish parties, empty promises, and a near-total lack of accountability have left residents feeling ignored and unrepresented. Henyard's leadership has been characterized by arrogance, unchecked authority, and a series of missteps that have eroded public trust. Outrage against Henyard has reached a boiling point, with many calling her tenure a disgrace to the town and demanding her resignation. One resident noted that her refusal to listen to reason has been a major factor in Dalton's ongoing dysfunction, an opinion widely shared by frustrated citizens who are fed up with her failure to govern responsibly and prioritize the well-being of the community. As Henyard's leadership unravels, she has become one of America's most notorious mayors, with controversies and incompetence overshadowing any potential achievements. The entire village is now suffering the consequences of her disastrous administration. Tensions between Henyard and the village trustees have reached a fever pitch, with trustees accusing her of financial mismanagement and overstepping her authority. Council meetings have become so contentious that they are now held in larger venues to accommodate the growing number of residents demanding answers. These meetings have become a symbol of the deep divide between Henyard and the people she was elected to serve, a situation that worsens with each passing day. What once seemed like a promising leadership opportunity has instead descended into total chaos, further alienating Henyard from her constituents. Many residents are now asking how much longer this mismanagement can continue before Dalton reaches a breaking point. "We just want responsible adult communication and leadership. That does the right thing for the city," said one concerned resident. But instead of providing the leadership Dalton desperately needs, Henyard continues to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. One of her most controversial moves, her attempt to appoint a new police chief, sparked fierce opposition from trustees and further intensified the already volatile situation. Adding to the turmoil, Henyard's administration has been plagued by legal challenges. A Cook County court recently overturned several of her key appointments, including the hiring of Michael Smith as executive assistant and special advisor, further exposing the